Hello and welcome to the Torch Snuffers podcast. We're back after a little hiatus, here to discuss Survivor Season 36. Can't believe it's been that long. Ghost Island. With me, as always, is a wonderful, spectacular panel of, I was about to say jurors. I was a jury today, have that on the brain. But panelists. So we've got Alex Cash.
Hello.
Ben
Cheers.
Mealy.
Hi, friends.
And Stephen Lehman.
Hey.
And today we are going to talk about our impressions of this episode, officially 3, but also officially 4, because the first week was a double episode, and just talk a little bit about our impressions so far of the season. A new twist on old twists, somehow. So we come back from Tribal, and right away we have one of these twists being talked about, this Andrea idol that Dominic has, and Dominic's lips probably sink ships because he can't seem to keep it to himself. And he goes ahead and tells Wendell. And I don't know about y'all, but I feel like time and time again we say, don't tell anyone about an idol. But I don't know, let's be honest. Would you guys tell someone? Would you be so excited that you just couldn't keep it in?
The conventional logic is so always there where you say, like, it's not appropriate to ever share it. Like, information is currency in the game of Survivor. But you also don't go through living around these people 24/7 and feeling like you can only rely on a certain amount of those people that you're around 24/7. So I feel like I would react totally differently and totally use any information I had as like a way to barter any type of connection with anybody that I could rely on. So like, I think logic goes out the door to a certain degree when you're actually in the moment and playing.
The way I see it is that relaying that information as a, hey, I know this thing, or I have this thing, trust me now, that's not quite wise. What's better is if you reveal the information the same way that you would reveal a blindside plan that you have, which is to say, you don't tell someone about a plan to blindside somebody else until you know that you're going to tribal council, which means not before the immunity challenge. Same thing here. If you're planning on using the idol, then you can tell people, hey, I have this plan. The idol gets used. Good things happen. We're good, right?
Except in the case of actually tonight, which we will get to. But it was good in practice, or good in theory, like you just shared, but not unfortunately so good in practice. But yeah, I mean, we've got the share of idols, we've got the share at the right time, arguably the wrong time. And then we've got the sharing of a fake idol at a confusing time, like last week when Dominic tried to be like, hey, Chris, I know we've hated each other since we got on this island, but suddenly let's be besties. Like, here's this fake idol. But I don't know. Do we think that's kind of the trend now, is that everyone is kind of overplaying almost from the very inception of the game? Or like, is this just Survivor now? Like, is this the newest evolution?
I think it's weird because you see people like have this like big moves mentality seep in earlier and earlier on. Like you have these people who are like, oh, I don't want to be a bump on a log who doesn't do anything. So you have these people like, what did we see? We saw in the very first episode, we saw 2 fake idols. Like we saw more fake idols than we saw real idols. Like people are like really going balls to the wall, and it's kind of impressive. But at the same time, it's kind of like extra and not necessary, because I feel like at least in the early stages in the game, it should be about focusing on relationships with people. So like, I don't know. I guess this is just what Survivor has sort of turned into.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a situation where like all of us that are on the podcast play the online games of Survivor, and we're just saturated with overplaying, and we finally gotten to a point where there are enough people that are aware that go on to Survivor what happens, that the same overplaying attitude is now seeping into Survivor. And it's no more like the first couple of episodes about creating bonds and everything. We're like straight to the jump. First time on hitting the island after like the first like tribe reveal, and the game is already on. Like, we've progressed so much in terms of how quickly the game begins compared to where Survivor first came from.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's a product of like the social media saturation that we find ourselves with. Like, everyone is now kind of coming up with like a brand for themselves, an image they want to portray. Everyone wants to like be remembered for a very, you know, like a special reason. Like, everyone wants to seem to make their mark right now. And so perhaps like it's a social commentary on like how people are in their everyday lives, I guess, even on an island, because this was initially a social experiment to, you know, kind of analyze society as a whole. But yeah. So moving on, we get to the reward challenge, which kind of like a lot of these ghostly items from the past, we have definitely seen this reward challenge before.
Yep.
Multiple times.
First season.
Yes. There's a lot of fighting it out. There's a lot of like held breath. Will they, won't they? But it all comes down to like wrestling a tube or a ball or a something into a net, pole, something. Yeah.
Alicia, you sound very thrilled with this challenge. You seem like so hyped.
Yeah. It says something when I absolutely the least knowledgeable Survivor lore panel like of the bunch of us. I am only host. I cannot compare to my panelists in Survivor knowledge, but like when I even know that it's been played a lot, like that's when you know like it's got time to go back to the drawing board. Because if I recognize it, so does everyone, and so do possibly the casual fans, and that's when you're in trouble. Anyway, and I guess what is a not so standard but seems to be standard for this season, after the reward challenge, they go to rocks again, and we get Kellen, who sounds like she isn't speaking English as she like high-pitchedly talks about like getting the rock and like going to Ghost Island and everything. She gets to play the game that Chris did not get to play, and that Jacob got to play. Jacob got to play because he was first. Chris and who didn't get to play? Donathan. Yeah. Which honestly made me kind of wonder if production like moved around what was inside, because okay, here's my theory. Chris and Donathan already had very interesting like characters that have kind of already come out. Like, they have personas. Like, Chris is kind of like the villainy take charge guy. Donathan is like the adorable, loving, like America's accidental sweetheart. But Kellen like is kind of one of those like fill in the blank with any other name out there, and like maybe it's Kellen, like maybe it's not, like who knows. So I felt like, I don't know, do you think production like jazzed her up a little bit, let her like try and make that decision?
I don't think that they necessarily have to manipulate it on that level if we're going to get into production making decisions on the fly. Because if you think about it, in those urns that are in that little locked box, that you go from left to right, it's not like everyone has, you know, the exact advantage that the person is getting in it. It just says, do you get one or not? They can change what's up at the fire path anytime they like. So I think that's if they're making decisions on the fly, that's where they're doing it. And also, you know, you can say Donathan has a distinct personality, Chris does, but so does Jacob, and so does Kellen in that she is aggressively a Journey player. She made a crap ton of life changes very shortly before coming on the show. That's a whole entire thing.
That is a lot. You're right.
Yeah, so they know if they're going to play favorites, they know how to do it more subtly than that.
Okay. Which leads me to like the moment of, oh my gosh, what if sometimes there's no prize in either of the two like bamboo purses that have to be unlocked?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it reminds me, it's reminiscent of the Token Cheens urns, where on Exile they had to pick one, and one had a clue, the other didn't. But I can't imagine that there's a situation where, where neither box has something. So, but I will say it was a smart move of Kellen to not risk her vote.
Yeah,
because when the numbers are what they are, if she had wagered her vote and lost, it would have been 4-4 and they would have gone to rocks tonight, which, ooh, wow.
Like, that was a feast or famine kind of thing. Like, if it came out good with a reward that you would have been able to utilize short term, you would have been able to bring that back. But at the same time, if that was something you cut your losses and just lost your vote, you would just burn yourself to the bottom of the people that were running things. So it's just, I don't know, would any one of you want to actually take the risk on that in this situation that Kellen was in?
I think the reason that Jacob was able to make the gamble in the first place is because he sucked it hard right out of the gate. So it's not like he had much of any other option.
Yep.
He had to go big or go home, and turns out he did both. So but what was I gonna say? I was gonna piggyback off that. But no, so I wouldn't choose specifically because I have the worst luck when it comes to 50-50. I'll literally always guess wrong. So as soon as I reached my hand out, I'd be sealing my fate. I would just.
As a very risk-averse player in online games, as people can attest to, I would not go for it. The idea of losing your vote is not. It's not. It's
and then having to justify it. Oh
yeah. Like when you come back, imagine if Kellen had to come back from Ghost Island and tell her alliance, "Hey, so something happened."
Well, but is that the kind of thing that you had to advertise, or is that the kind of thing that Jeff would out you for at Tribal?
Oh, I guess that's a good
question.
You know what I mean?
It could be one of the things you burn vote in, and nobody even knows about it until the votes are read.
Last vote,
right?
Even what? Yeah. So
that would be doing the dirty though.
I don't know. Yeah, so it would solely depend on if Jeff ratted you out to make it more dramatic or not. Which I don't know. It would be really dramatic either way.
I wonder if it'd be kind of like Lauren swallowing her vote last season, where it's you write a name down and then you just toss it in the bin.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
I could see that.
It's entirely possible. Yeah, but we'll get to Tribal. We'll talk about it. But first, we'll go ahead and go into the tribe, who we saw for half the episode because they weren't going to Tribal. Saw Naviti. We had Chris versus Dominic, episode 3, because that's pretty much been the grand theme of this show thus far. But I don't know. What do you guys think of the two, I guess, macho men of the Naviti tribe?
I am just happy that lines are finally being drawn in the sand. It's only taken 3, chronologies to be able to get to the point where people are actually investing in the fight. Chris, I think he's playing his hand way too much, especially because he's ignoring the fact that he's coming back after being on Ghost Island in the first place.
Yeah.
And to think that you can go in and then position yourself in a place of power and dictate things or just come off as strongly as he came off, I don't think you should never put yourself in that prominent of a place, especially when there's somebody already talking smack about you in the first place. And then you have people that are smart enough, like Laurel, who really showed a prowess to be able to discern like a good move from a bad move and be able to side in the opposite direction from Chris because of how he played his hand.
Yeah. I just to piggyback off of that, I think it was also Chris playing his hand not so well, because he not only was he on Ghost Island, but he was on Ghost Island when these tribes formed. So it's not as if he's had much of a chance to form any relationship with any of these new people. His only real relationship that we've seen is with Angela, and then the people from his old tribe who weren't really fond of him. So I understand from, I guess, Chris's perspective, it makes sense to go to the Malolo people, but when he doesn't have any social currency with them, it seems very rushed, and it seems like it's not going to end well for him.
Yeah, it seems like he thinks so highly of himself that he thinks that, like, oh, but it's me. Like, shouldn't matter that I haven't been with them, that I don't know them. Like, I'm cool. Like, I can call the shots. Which, you know, sometimes is correct and most of the time is not.
And while we're talking about the whole Dominic versus Chris feud, I have to shout out Laurel again for the way that she was edited and the way that she like made decisions this episode, because I think that she made a very intelligible move by aligning her and Jonathan with Wendell and Dominic, because I think that with people that were playing as staunchly on lines as they are, I think that they're going to be able to reposition themselves into like the first actual alliance that's going to be able to do something in this game. So I'm like, it's a little out of left field to see Laurel do this, but I'm excited to see what's coming from it, if this is like her breakout episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Dominic even said that he was surprised at Laurel. You know, he didn't see that coming from her. And honestly, I don't know that anyone sees that particular group of 4 people working together in an alliance framework, because they seem like a pretty random cast of characters.
Yeah, it's the biggest Motley Clue that I thought about that. I was like, this is the biggest Motley Clue that I can think of, like, maybe since, like, the Palau Final Four. I don't know.
Yeah, so we'll see, because I think it would be, like, really fun to see them in a merge situation, like, try and pull some stuff off, because, like, who's gonna think, like, of all the people? But I like it. Like, I like Laurel. I like where her head is at. You know, she's staying calm and, like, rational and, like, gaming, but not in, like, an over-the-top, like, overplayed kind of way. You know, she's just picking her way through the game. So I'm about it. So we move on to the Malolo tribe, or as Sebastian said in one of his confessionals, the Malolo tribe.
Did he, like, honest question, did Sebastian, like, stumble onto some good weed on the island? Cause, like,
I know!
Like, because, like, what?
I feel like he hid it in his hair. Like, I feel like he had a little mess in the hair, and he just knew how to roll his hair accessories up and he set.
Oh my god, Ben, you say that as, like, I don't know.
Almost as if you know that to be a thing.
I can read people really well, if that's what you're getting at.
That's exactly what we need. Expert. But yeah, I don't know. Sebastian is an odd dude. He, like, really weirds me out. Like, I don't know what it is about him, but it just like makes me uncomfortable.
He has a really, like, dirty vibe to him, like a really unclean vibe to him. Like
you can just imagine, like, his childhood was the dirty child from the Peanut comics.
Yeah, Pigpen. He's Pigpen.
Oh my god, Pigpen.
Yeah. So he comes off like Pigpen. He looks like an elf, and he says things that no one else would say. like ever in any context. Just like
he would say a lot of things in a certain context, in a very certain context indeed. And that certain context include very cloudy rooms with many mixed substances involved.
I don't know. We see a little more of him in the preview, but we'll get there. He's weird. He has a snaggle tooth. It's stressing me out. on. Moving on to the rest of Malolo, we've got the child star that like is acting like he's a middle, like a yuppie. I don't know. We've got Michael, the 18-year-old, but really he's 23, but no, actually he's 18.
He's not an 18-year-old. He just plays one on TV.
Of course. Yeah, so we've got him, who honestly looks older than 18. I would totally believe that he was 23 if I was out there. Mm-hmm. But, you know, whatever. And we have Brad Lee, not to be confused with Brandon.
I had him confused, just not based on the look, but based on the names. I've been having trouble with the names this season. I have called Angela Ashley. I have called her Andrea. By the end of the season, she is going to be Frida. I swear.
Or you'll just be mistaking her for Jeff. Or maybe you'll be mistaking Steph for Jeff because their names rhyme and they both have very dark hair. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. We have like a bunch of people that honestly are not memorable, except for we've got Chelsea.
Chelsea spoke to her. That was huge, by the way. Chelsea like broke. This was her breakout episode tonight, which is to say, she said, "I'm sitting."
She's only probably gonna get one of those.
Congrats, Chelsea.
She was mentioned in challenges twice.
Yes, so congrats, Chelsea.
Was only inside the council like looking.
Well, it's funny because she didn't say a damn word before this, so like this is definitely her breakout episode. And actually, props to her because she had to explain the idol strategy, and like she was kind of on point. She was like, "Let's vote for a dude because they're gonna expect us to vote for a girl." Oh, okay.
Steven, your standard is wow. She made an intelligible statement.
Well, yeah. Well, considering, the bar was at like a complete 0 before, so like,
yeah, it was like it was
a pass-fail sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Co-sign to all of that. Plus, I have no idea how I did not see that magnificent hair until now. Like,
seriously,
she's been standing there in the background, and it's just, how did I not see it?
I didn't see it, whether it was the pre-cast confessionals, whether it was the cast photos. It wasn't there until this episode. It's been a couple weeks. But it finally showed itself, and I'm very proud of her hair. Her hair had a breakout episode.
Indeed. What else was broken out was James's old idol at Tribal Council. Michael busted it out first to his little group of 4, well, kind of like right before Tribal Council started, and then busted it out again mid-Tribal Council. And I don't know, you guys, did you guys think he was going to play it right? Because earlier in the episode, they teased like, oh, it like Bradley, or like Brandon, I think like they're gonna vote for you.
Yep.
So did you guys think he was gonna play the idol correctly and finally change James' purse? That was really tough to get.
I think that he played it with the best. He played it as well as he could in the moment that he did. He manipulated it so that he was able to see the expressions when he said the idol covered 2 people. He was able to steer the conversation to see reactions. And then something that I really questioned was when he walked up, he originally said, "I'm using this for these 2 people," and looked at everyone to see the reactions, and then used it for its actuality for Stephanie at that point. But that part I was like questionable. Like, you can lie about it and then use it on a second person question mark. But I think that he did the best that he could in the situation with the Cladlock 5 people that wasn't going to budge about who they were going to talk about in terms of trying to figure out who they were going to vote for so he could use it on the right person. I think there's not much more you can do to discern who it was going to be.
Yeah, I definitely liked his approach to kind of like look back once he'd said the two names. And there we go. Is this better? Okay. So I like his approach when he said the two names and then whipped around. And we saw a cut to like Bradley like looking dramatically to the side, but then he said Steph in spite of that. And so it has me wondering like, oh, did that just get like spliced in to like make something look dramatic? Like what went on? But you know, we don't know that.
I was just gonna say I think Michael played it as well as he could have. Like I understand because there's like a weird level of like psychology followed by like reverse psychology on top of like you're trying to figure out like are they doing this but also this. So like I understand the idea of him wanting to play it on Stephanie because the idea is like you theorize that they're going to target one of the girls being Stephanie or Jenna because they're weaker, but at the same time that's why they didn't target. So it's like a weird layer thing. So I get why he played it how he did. But honestly, I thought with the way that like he whipped it out at Tribal, I thought that they actually were going to vote for Stephanie, and it would have shifted around. But you know, guess not.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing with the idol scenarios where one party has an idol and the other party knows that the other party is going to play the idol is that it turns into that one scene from The Princess Bride where the iocane powder is in one of the two glasses of wine, and it's like, I know, like, I would think that you were going to pick this one, so I should actually pick this one, but you're thinking the same thing, so I should actually go for the first one, but and
so it goes.
So that's kind of fascinating. So I do think that I'm actually going to play it on this person. Oh no, I was just checking to see your reactions. That was good play. What was not good play was trying to get Sebastian and Chelsea to flip from a situation where they are number 4 and 5 in Alliance of 5 to numbers 5 and 6 in an Alliance of 6, and also, what was the other thing? Oh yeah, like also lying about what your idol can do, like saying it can be played on 2 people, and then immediately having it be revealed that it can only be played on 1 person. If you're going to make a big lie like that, then get some more leverage out of it. Don't just like destroy your credibility in the space of a single hour.
And I would say to that too, like, you know, what you're trying to force them to split their vote suddenly. Like, if you say they have 2 people, like, I don't think they're going to split their vote.
Well, particularly when it's like a 5-4 split, like they're not stupid.
I don't know. Ben, thoughts? No.
I'm torn because I also want to say, like, my first reaction to the tribal was like, this was a good like back to basics tribal council where the question to the majority was, you don't know if we're going to play it right or not, but if we play it right, you don't want to be on the on the opposite side of that. So I thought that was a good, like, with it being Ghost Island as the theme, I think it was a good way to pose a very basic question to the majority, like on tribal lines, like, do you trust your tribe enough, or do you want to, like, do you trust your tribe enough to let it be up to faith if we play this right, or do you want to jump while you have the chance? So I liked that I got that aspect out of tribal as well.
fair. And I feel like the only way to even like try and correctly game that would just be to like throw one vote randomly somewhere else. And that way I don't know. That way if it's like somehow a tie, you can still just like get right back in and like vote correctly or whatever you want, or like see what the reaction is from everyone and then like pick the side that you're gonna go to. But what do I know? I've never been out there.
You're throwing 201 stuff. Like, we're doing podcast 101 and you're throwing 201 up on the board.
Sorry, it's just what I do. Just kidding. But anyway, maybe next week we'll move on into 201 gameplay. I don't know. We did see a little bit of I don't know. It was like a very teasery trailer because I feel like we didn't get much except that Sebastian turned into a full creep.
Yeah, Sebastian and Jenna, that's a thing.
Yeah, I think the quote was what? As long
as she keeps flirting with me,
she'll stay. Like that's uncomfortable.
And also, Desiree might snap her neck
in water.
Or like a shark could eat her. Like I'm not really sure why Jeff is yelling "Wow." I know it doesn't.
Wow. Just the drowning risk, just because she's like, I'm gonna hold my breath for a good solid minute doing this.
Yeah, I know.
For the sake of aerodynamicism.
I had a much higher than average response to feeling that was a medvac preview. I don't know why. Then it was like, that's totally not going to be a vote thing. That's totally an evac thing. I don't know why.
But wouldn't they show us like the dramatic like?
Yeah, they probably would. Desiree being a torpedo in the water and breaking her neck was
a dramatic moment. She was like
very dramatic.
Like a kickboard.
Well, but remember, like the last time they did this exact challenge on the reward challenge that we keep seeing, they did it on the same exact plot of land out in the middle of the ocean, and the life preserver, if I remember correctly, was also orange and purple because it was millennials versus Gen X, I think. And so they played it up like it was going to be a huge dramatic thing that this big ass ocean wave came in and like came up to Jeff's like chest, and he's like, "Whoa!" and then that's all it amounted to. So true. I really think this is all that amounts to, is that she can hold her breath and go shark mode, and it's cool.
I can dig that. I hope so, because that would be a relief. But I don't know. I guess we will find out next week who is right and who is wrong. It's been so fun. It's been wonderful being back with everyone, and we look forward to covering the rest of this season as able, because we have busy lives to combine with our passion for Survivor. But until next time, this is the Torch Snuffers, and we are out.